Happy Monday. I almost said Friday because I'm usually doing these on Friday mornings, but today we are doing it on Labor Day weekend because we not only have Natalie with us, but Natalie has an interesting schedule because she is celebrating her senior year this year in high school. So I'm super excited to have her and just talk about what she is interested in and what sort of career pathways she is considering pursuing. So I hope when you're tuning in, please drop some comments in the comments section. Let us know where you're tuning in from. And if you are someone within engineering and manufacturing and you're having trouble with filling some of the vacancy opportunities that you have, be sure to reach out to Natalie after this because, hey, she could be one of your future employees. You never know. But Natalie, hello. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, very well. How about yourself?
Good, thank you. So let's get started with a brief background about you. Tell us who you are, what sort of things are you pursuing at the high school level, and why are you interested in engineering and manufacturing?
Yeah, so currently I'm a high school senior. Within my school, we're divided into three different pathways. We have computer science, biotech, and engineering. I'm pursuing the engineering pathway, and as of right now, I'm completing my engineering capstone.
Nice. Well, what was it about engineering that really got you interested in pursuing that track for your high school level?
I think the possibilities within engineering is more of a thought-provoking sort of field. It's really open to a lot of answers in a way. So engineering opens doors to what you would say, like, there's an issue, how can we solve that problem? And it's really just curiosity that drew me into it because engineering has all the possibilities to create what we may not think is possible in the first place.
Do you know anybody in your family, like close family friends that have been in engineering, or how did you find out about it when you started high school? Was it just something that was presented to all students at the beginning of freshman year?
So yeah, no one in my family is within engineering, or I'd want to say very much the STEM related field. But I would say freshman year of high school really just drew me very well into that. Within middle school, I was already starting a lot of STEM related projects, whether that was within physics or just a lot of the calculations within engineering. But I want to say what really drew me into it was my drafting class. So we would do technical drawings, we would do modeling, and ever since I started that class, it's really what drew me into engineering the most. Currently, this is my second year TAing for that class, so I've been teaching assisting for that class as well. So
Oh,
it's really
okay.
something that drew me really well into high school, and I'd love being able to help the students that are currently taking that class, to also get that kind of gist of, I like doing this and I'd want to do this.
So with that drafting class, what sort of tools were you using? Like, were you using a CAD CAM type of software?
So at the very beginning of the year, we would do all the drafting by hand. We did it that
Mhm.
way so that the students would be able to get a feel like, okay, if we could do it by hand first, we'll be able to learn how to use the software. The software we'd use would be Autodesk software, so we would use specifically Inventor for the technical drawings and modeling.
Awesome. So, as a TA, what are some of the things that you like about teaching?
I think as a TA, the best thing is being able to adjust how you teach to each student because everybody would grasp it a different way and like also the questions they would have. Because we would go over first doing it by hand, then we do the modeling, and then we do like the technical drawings. And just being able to correlate it all back because we teach the class to industry standards. My teacher's an ex-Northrop employees, so everything is more so to their level and to their standard. And I think that's what really draws in more of the students is that we correlate it to something they would want to do or maybe something they'd be interested in doing.
So, have you participated in any programs like the Skills USA competitions or First Robotics? Have you done any of those types of programs?
Yes, I have done FIRST Robotics. So my freshman year, I was in FTC, so the first tech challenge, where we'd start off with smaller robots. It was actually our rookie year for that school. We barely had started FTC that year, so that was pretty cool and interesting. I was actually administrator for my team, and we were able to win the judges award. So it was pretty accomplished for that year. For the last following years, even that same school year, I joined FRC, which is the first robotics competition, which is the higher level
Okay.
robotics level. I really like that. We did a lot of traveling. We went traveling for more like San Diego, more near the valley, and it's really cool to see a lot of different people from all over the world for these competitions. I'm more than sure my last competition we had people from France there during our competitions, people from the Middle East, and it was really amazing to see all these students from all over the world just united in what we call for robotics and for STEM.
That's really cool. They just released a movie last March on the all women's robotics team from Afghanistan. And it's just crazy to hear about their journey because they recently just got a bunch of rights stripped away for pursuing further education. And now that that's kind of in threat, it was one of my friends shared an article on how they're still teaching robotics, even though they can't pursue any kind of further education. So I think that it's really cool that you guys were able to connect and collaborate with people from all over the world with that type of program. I think FIRST is amazing. So anyone tuning in, if you're not sponsoring a FIRST robotics team, please do, because it is very important for these kids to get the mentorships and the coaching and the donations and just everything that's involved with that program is just so beneficial for them if they want to pursue anything in engineering or manufacturing and even life skills too. Like it's just so important.
Yes.
Um, how have your mentors or teachers or any role models that you've had really helped shape, your goals within the type of career that you want to pursue?
I think it was more of I'm still figuring out what I'm doing now, and what they always push me to
Mhm.
do is give myself the space to learn and know what I would really want to do and really stick with it. Because I've been through assembly, so I've also learned about the automation space. I've learned about, the drafting and designing area. And I've also learned about manufacturing, which is what really has drawn me into it. But one thing my mentors have pushed me to is to enable creativity in whatever I would do. Because as of right now, I don't know what the future will bring for me. So I'd have to be open to all these different sorts of experience. And you don't know, maybe it's this new first job opportunity I would have more into deep within the industry that might change my course of what specifically I would want to do within manufacturing. So my mentors have really just pushed me to, keep going, keep pushing, and never let any door that's closed stop me from trying to find another one.
Do you have like top three career paths that you're thinking about right now, or top two? Like, what are you most interested in, or what's catching your eye the most?
So I personally would want to be, so I'm more within the engineering space. I feel like I'm more in a leadership position. Within everything I've
Okay.
done, I've always been, helping a team, guiding a team, working with it. I've also been hands-on. So furthering within engineering, I would like to be within like a management position within projects. I've been very, I would want to say very accomplished in what I have done. Last year we had an interdisciplinary project with a mock mission to Mars, which which is very cool because it had people from the AIA, which is an aerospace association, that would come see our project, and they were really like, "This is super cool that students are actually looking into these different kinds of challenges that people right now, probably in NASA, are working on themselves." But besides that, I'd like to be working hands-on something that would be meaningful, maybe something within the medical field, whether or aerospace as well. Because I'm currently taking an honors aerospace class, and it's been really fascinating with all the things that they've been doing. So manufacturing space, probably within aerospace as well.
That's really cool. The leadership comment that you made, I think that's really refreshing to hear because right now within our sector, only 1 in 4 women have like a top C-level suite type of leadership position. So just to hear you wanting to pursue that is really cool. And I hope you get really far in this sector because we need more women in those leadership spaces to help attract more women to this sector. It sounds like you've worked on quite a few cool projects already, even at the high school level. out of all of those projects that you've worked on, what were some of the things that were most intimidating or like the biggest challenges that you faced, and how did you get over those hurdles?
I would say one of the biggest challenges you have is really going knees deep within a project, planning it out, doing all the calculations, and once you try it out, it absolutely did not work. And it's also very frustrating because I would want to say this was also within my freshman year project. We were trying to get the drive base within our robot to work, and we spent probably our first few months just going into it, working on it, and it did not work. And we were just about to start competition 1 week away.
Oh, it would have made me
And
nauseous.
I think one of the biggest things I learned from that is how to keep a team motivated. Yeah, yeah, is how to keep a team motivated when you yourself is also in that brink where like, okay, what are we gonna do? You're also kind of frustrated, you're also pretty anxious, but you have to keep the whole team grounded and yourself too. And
Mhm.
just being able to learn how to get through that, and it's helped me so much within the following years. Within these sorts of projects is that you're like the first role model that these people would look up to. Like you're not there to like to tell them what to do. You're there to facilitate. You're there to guide them. And you learning how to do that within yourself and spread that to others is probably one of the biggest things that I learned out of these different sorts of opportunities.
That's really cool. So when you are facing those challenges, and as you mentioned before, like you really need to keep yourself motivated to keep your team motivated. What were some of the things that you did, or like where were you pulling inspiration from to keep yourself motivated so that you could keep the energy level up within your team?
For me, it would always bring the learning opportunity and the vision. For me, it's something I always bring up is the vision of what we're doing. If we're not really looking ahead to what we want to accomplish, like what are we really working for? Why are we working towards that? And it was our
Mhm.
rookie year, so we didn't know if we were going to win. We weren't going in expecting to win, but we did go in expecting to learn from our mistakes, learn what the whole atmosphere was like, learn all these different new skill sets because we were just freshmen. We didn't even know each other at that point. So it was also learning how to work with one another and people we've never really met before. And really pretty much keeping that motivation is like we're going to get something out of it, whether it's an educational level or an experience level.
Mhm. Just to pull on a few comments, we have Ahmed who's joining us today. Welcome, Ahmed. Thank you for joining us. And then we have FA. She is tuning in from Nigeria. Or he is tuning in from Nigeria. Sorry, I need my glasses on today. But he's tuning in from Nigeria. Really appreciate that you're tuning in. If you guys have any questions for Natalie, please drop them off in the comment section. So Natalie, I mean, when I was in high school, I did a bunch of different things. Like I liked playing sports and then hanging out with my friends. And engineering and manufacturing, there's a lot of moving parts. So, like, I know I get the question, a lot of other people get the question about work-life balance. So, what does that look like at the high school level? Like, how do you balance, working on some of these projects and doing all of your schoolwork, and then, having time for like extracurricular activities and doing other things outside of what your major projects are?
I think it's for me, it really has been learning to prioritize what should come first. Like for me, as much as I loved my robotics team, if it was getting too much for me, I would have to learn how to lean on my team and put my academics first. Because it's one thing being within your academics and also being within a club. And it's really important to, be able to, this is what's going to get me to push forward. And if I could lean on my team to help me do this, I'd be able to do that. And me being able to learn how to prioritize things has really made things a lot easier than trying to just give everything the same importance at once. Because that would mean like how much time am I dedicating to this? How much time am I dedicating to that? And things would get really unbalanced. So that way, just prioritizing what I would do and know that there's also other people there that could help you with it has really been the biggest thing for me. Like me too. When I was within middle school, I'm a really big softball player, and going into high school, my high school didn't have softball, but that would have meant I would have to go to an outside facility and club to continue on. So it's like, what do I want to prioritize? Being within my robotics club and my academics and what it is life here, or joining another team and continuing on with softball. And I made that little sacrifice for softball for my robotics team.
Softball is so fun. I used to play that all the time. And then I had to make a decision between that and theater. And I let go of softball to pursue theater for a couple of years. It was fun. It was different. Didn't have the robotics team though, and I'm like kind of mad about that whole situation. Um, so, out of all of the projects that you've done throughout your high school career, is there any one particular that you're most proud of? And how did you approach solving problems within that project?
So I'd want to say the most fulfilling and accomplished project so far has been within the Mission to Mars project from last year. I had to build. We had three different groups because we work within the different pathways within our school. So we had the comp sci pathway, the biotech, and engineering pathway, which was I was in charge of for the whole group. And I had to build an autonomous robot train. And we had only, I think we were crunching down probably to only a month and a half. So it was just like, what parts do I need? How am I going to get this to work? And then besides that, I had another classmate that still had to work on the shell. So it was
Mhm.
there, me working on my living room floor. I also had nails on at that moment, working on the living room floor with a bunch of the screws all over the place, grabbing wrenches from the garage, and then putting things together, trying to get the motors to work, and they weren't working, taking it apart, putting it back together again, and it wasn't working, and putting it back together again until it actually worked again. Things get frustrating within those moments, but knowing that I didn't give up after like probably the third time really gave me that sense of accomplishment. Like I didn't give up and it actually works now. And throughout the project, besides all the other teams, we were the only group that had a functional robot for that
That's
project.
right. So, how do you approach creativity? Like, what role does creativity play for you in engineering and manufacturing? Because I think one misconception that we have about our sector is that it's not really a creative place, but that's not true, especially within like the CAD and CAM environment. There is a lot of like visualization that needs to happen and critical thinking. So, how has creativity really played a role for you in some of the projects that you worked on?
So creativity, in a sense, creativity just sparks a lot of ideas for me. Creativity is like, okay, if I could do it this way or I could do it this other way, is there a better solution for it? Like creativity, and for me, it's more of a visualizing sense. Like if I could do it one way and I'd be able to put that down probably on a piece of paper or visualize that in another way. It's a way of just your ideas are kind of like a piece of art and you're piecing it one by one, you're piecing it together and you're trying to see like how can I do this to solve a problem, and that's just not just using your own art methods. In a way, you're using other people's ideas to help unite one big idea, and it's just like a big puzzle piece to make it finally work out.
So I really admire that you are looking into leadership roles, and you said that the future of manufacturing depends on bold leadership, inclusive collaboration, and the voices of young people. Why is that important to you as a student right now to really follow through with trying to push younger generations into these leadership roles?
I find that very important as myself because a majority of the spaces that I've been as of right now within high school, majority of the times we're either talked down to, whether it is within your female or just because of her age. And I feel like being able to learn how to stand up for yourself is something very important and something that a lot of us, that I know a lot of people that are we're willing to do and we're willing to stand up for what we think. And taking that initiative and giving the space for that itself is very important because if you don't see it right now, who is it for us to think that the next generation won't see it either? And we have to start
Yeah.
making those small changes, and we have to start making those small bits of action because without action and just voice, there won't be much of an impact.
I 100% agree. And I like that, there is this misconception that the newer generations coming in, because they're new or rookie or green, as some people like to call them, um, they're not as knowledgeable or they don't really bring a lot to the table quite yet. Like they have to have that experience. But there's a lot of younger generations who I've seen that are mentoring the older generations, especially with some of these advanced technologies, just because you guys have grown up with them right away, where the older generations are kind of learning what these advanced technologies are. So I think there's that moment where older generations can mentor the younger generations, and vice versa. So I'm glad that you guys are getting that confidence and being able to use your voices and stuff, because we need a lot more of that, especially if we want more women to come and be involved within this sector. What advice would you give to other high school students who are curious about STEM but don't know where to start?
So one thing I would say is that I know in a lot of places, I even myself, that it's not widely available, all this advanced technology, all of this advanced software, but you don't need any of that to really just start your STEM journey. I've probably seen the best prototypes not be made out of 3D printing, but be made of cardboard and duct tape. Like, it doesn't have to start with anything fancy. It just has to start with something with initiative. Just taking a little bit of an idea, because one thing about STEM is one of the biggest questions, and one of the biggest questions you could ever ask is why.
Mm-hmm.
When why is where a lot of things stem out of it. And going into STEM, it's going to be a lot of questions you'll need to ask, a lot of questions that you'll probably leave with more questions than answers, but a lot of questions that'll lead you to further ideas, a lot of questions that'll probably lead you to looking into problems that you probably didn't even know existed at that moment. And looking into STEM, you just need to go in with a bright mindset and not thinking that I need all of this, because not a lot of people are going to have that. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
even have a lot of that available. It's only my high school. But if I were to go look into the high schools around my area, we don't have a robotics team, or we don't have a machine shop. We probably at most will have, the laptops and a bright mind to go in with it.
Mm-hmm. How do you think schools could do a better job of exposing students in careers in engineering and manufacturing? Because, like you mentioned before, not all high schools are treated the same, and they're not going to have the same resources depending on the community. So, what are some of your thoughts on how schools can better bridge those connections for students who might be interested in STEM careers?
I would say they can make the effort of showing that it's possible, because the majority of the times I feel like if you don't have this, you won't be able to do it at all. And just being able to at least provide just the minimal amount of resources to be able to accomplish that. You don't need nothing extra, but just to be able to show them and not limit them that you can do it. Because I have personally seen in cases saying that, well, if you don't have this, you won't be able to pursue that career because you never had that sort of experience, or you never had that sort of knowledge, or we didn't even teach those sort of classes. And I feel like what schools could do is just show that it's possible, or bring people, maybe like career day sort of thing, bring people to show like, hey, this is how I did it, this is where I came from, and I still managed to be within this position or within this career. And just showing that there's different ways to get there, because it's not just one set path, it's not just one, like, there's the map, these are the steps you have to follow to get where you are. It's showing that everybody can take different paths and still get to the same end goal.
So one of the people that we're both connected to is Nush, and I absolutely love her. I think she's a great voice, especially for younger women who want to pursue careers in engineering, manufacturing, and the trades. And she started the Sisterhood of Trades group, which I see that you're part of. So why is it important for you at such a young age to be part of such a group that promotes women within these types of fields?
I think it's just the sense of community that it brings, and realizing that back again that so many people got to one end goal through a lot of different ways. People that went to be an automotive technician, a lot of people that went into welding, that they came from probably either having some sort of trade within their high school or not having that at all, or going within training college, showing me that there's so many different ways that people ended where they are right now, and the different ways they're still continuing on with their careers, and just all these different advice they could give you within the workplace or within how to manage your career. I find it really useful because not only does it build very, I kind of want to say personalized advice, because it's coming from someone that may understand you, but it also builds a sense of community and support that one another we could provide to.
So, looking forward, this is your senior year, which is really exciting. What's one like dream project you're hoping to work on either this year or after you graduate?
So this year for my engineering capstone, as I said before, my teacher is an ex Northrop Grumman employee, so he got to work on a lot of DARPA projects. So for the Department of Defense. So my school is called CAMS, so we call it CARPA, but in our head, his name is Mr. Carpenter, so it's CARPA for Mr. Carpenter. But what we do is that there's two different periods, class periods. Each one will create their own company, and at the very end of it, depending the contract they gave us, we're both fighting for the contract, and we'll produce the most viable project given to them. And at testing day, we'll see which company or which period will win the project. It's going to be one of the biggest projects I'll work on. We're probably a class of 30, and we'll need to do a lot of fundraising for it, a lot of things that you would do within a real company, and it's promoted that way as well. So within the following months and following weeks, you'll probably be seeing a lot more of me reaching out about these kinds of things that we're doing within our class, because it's very interesting to see how everything that we learned within our years of high school is going to be implemented through one of these biggest projects that we'll have.
Is that something you're going to be including in your blog? Because I know you have a newsletter out that you write to and
Yeah,
contribute to.
absolutely. I would say absolutely, because I mean, not so long ago, last week, we had two systems engineers come in to kind of just overview how we were running our little flash challenge as of right now, because we have a mini project before we get onto our bigger project. And a lot of the ways we're running within within our period is to how you would run a real company within the industry. And it's really cool to see that perspective within a high school classroom, something that you probably wouldn't see so often.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Well, are there any schools or colleges that you're looking into right now for after when you graduate? Like, where are your top spots that you want to attend?
Well, I wouldn't say I have a top spot yet, but I do know I really want to go to a school within San Diego, so UC San Diego. But I am looking for schools outside of California, so I'd want to say Purdue, Georgia Tech, schools within Chicago in that area. So I'm still looking for a widespread of technical schools that offer these engineering programs. But what's more important for me is that I'll be able to get some hands-on experience and not just being in a lecture hall within college.
Why is that important for you to get that hands-on experience?
Because once you're doing it hands on, it makes everything that you learn a lot easier to stick. It becomes a habit in a way, being able to put it in and understand, learning while you're being able to practice it. And I feel like that's also something very beneficial I had throughout high school. And I've been able to implement that through the projects we've done in school and also through First Robotics as well.
Mhm. Well, Natalie, I really appreciate you taking time out of your. I mean, it's the last day of summer for a lot of us. I was mentioning to you how I'm getting my kids ready for school tomorrow, but I really do appreciate the time. I think it's important for the leaders of manufacturing today to hear from the younger generations who are thinking about coming into the sector, because then this way they can keep an eye. It's kind of like sports recruiting is the only analogy I can come up with, which I hate doing because I don't like talking about sports a lot, but it's like kind of recruiting for sports. You need to see who the talent is, what skill sets they have to offer, and then try to pull them into some of the opportunities they have available. And I think it's really cool that you want to pursue leadership positions. And, you're talking about how you like motivating team members and bringing the energy to the team. And we need more of that type of leadership within engineering and manufacturing. So hopefully you've perked up a couple people's ears and they start paying attention to you and they start following your newsletter. But I do want to give you a chance to ask our audience one question. So if you had a big ask for our audience, what would that ask be?
I think one of the biggest asks would be like, what can us as the upcoming generation do to make you guys understand that we're ready for what's coming? Because a lot of the times, I mean, we won't know. A lot of the times it's going to be probably our first job coming into the industry, or a lot of times we're going to be like, oh, what are we doing? How can we do this? Or what are we doing right? It's just really like, what can we do to make you understand that, we're ready, and what can we do to be more prepared when we're going into it?
I love that. Well, to anyone tuning in, please be sure to connect with Natalie on LinkedIn. She's very active. She's also connected with Nish, who founded the Sisterhood of Trades. And if you're looking to get more women into this space as well, too, these are the ladies that you want to follow. They are motivated. They're curious. They're willing to learn. They're willing to make mistakes and fail forward. They seem to be the right type of people for some of these advanced technology positions. So Natalie, anything else before I let you go and enjoy the rest of your summer?
I just want to leave with one piece of advice. For the students, I would want to say that don't let your mindset become your cage, because STEM isn't just reserved for probably the latest software, the most advanced tech, but it's reserved for anyone who's willing to ask the what if question and being able to follow through with it. Because you don't need a 3D printer, you don't need a prototype for that sort of things. You don't need no expensive gear to start solving problems. You just need to have that curiosity and freedom to build what you have. And like I said, some of the best ideas come from probably some of the nothing and be able to come something very important. And to the people who are already in the fields, don't close your doors. Stay open to us new voices and the new methods and the new ways of thinking, because not only innovation doesn't always come from the top. Majority of the time, it comes for us that are barely coming in, from the edges, from the students, from the interns, and for the ones who haven't been told no just yet. Thank you.
I love that. Well, Natalie, thank you again for joining us. I really appreciate it. I'm a huge advocate of yours. I will be pushing your stuff out there. So please keep tagging me in the articles that you're writing. And then when you're ready to find a full-time position, let me know, because I will be referring you to everyone that I know. To all of you tuning in, thank you so much. Be sure, again, to please connect with Natalie. I hope you guys have a wonderful Labor Day weekend. And yeah, summer is almost over, so be sure to get those last few days of sunshine in and take care of one another. And I will be back not this weekend, but next week with another episode of Mavens of Manufacturing. Bye, everyone. This episode of Mavens of Manufacturing has been sponsored by Z Ink Solutions. Z Ink Solutions. This isn't your grandmother's copywriting service. We provide copywriting and copy editing services that provide impactful text and memorable storytelling for a variety of brands and industries. Contact us today at zinksolutions.com. That's z-inksolutions.com.